18-year-old Luzeia Mathis was a bright young woman who was responsible and had dreams to make her life great. While in school, she was very smart and loved basketball, dance, singing, and modeling. She also had desires to go to college and be a psychologist. She lived on her own in an apartment in Phoenix, Arizona, and always paid rent on time or early every month. However, on September 20th, 2019, Phoenix police responded to Louisa's apartment near 35th Avenue and Indiana School Road. Before the 911 call was made to police, management at Louisa's apartment complex were ready to evict her for non-payment, which was strange because she usually paid early or on time every month. What sparked the 911 call were complaints about a strong odor coming from her unit, and according to the apartment manager, she had not been seen for weeks. When they got into the unit, there was blood everywhere, the floor, the walls, pillows, and there were cleaning products tucked away in trash bags, but no sign of Louisa. To find out what could have happened to her, we would need to go back to before Louisa was born. Louisa's mother, Makisa Sampson, was raised by her father because he got physical custody after a court battle with Makisa's mother, Jacqueline. According to Jacqueline, he wanted her out of spite, and he won her because he knew the judge and she was younger and did not have the means like he did. Makisa was the youngest of 3 girls, but the other 2 grew up with their mother. When Makisa was around 11, her dad went to prison and she ended up going to live with her mother. When she arrived, she would get into a lot of trouble because she resented her mother for not raising her and started shoplifting, and then she got pregnant at the age of 13 with Louisa, and she would end up being raised by her aunt, Jakia Williams, until she was 2 years old. Her aunt stated that she was just joy and pure love and very smart, your typical child, and always had a smile on her face. The court ended up giving Louisa back to her mother, Makisa, but her aunt wanted to raise her because she did not feel that her sister was fit to raise a child. As years would pass, Makisa would be reported to CPS on multiple occasions, but they never took Louisa completely from her mother. According to her aunt, when Louisa was 11, she was allegedly raped by someone, but her mother did not give her the support she needed. It is also alleged that her mother would have different men in and out of the house and left Louisa and the other children she ended up having unsupervised around these men, and would have her kids sleeping from house to house, abandoned places, and sometimes to their grandmothers, but she would always come back and take them, even though her mother tried to plead with her to get her life together first. But Makisa would threaten to call the police. It is said that Makisa was very manipulating. Grandma Jacqueline would go on to say that CPS never did anything to help, and Makisa would do bad things around her kids and make them do bad things as well. So as Louisa became older and able to work, she worked all the time so that she could move out as soon as she was old enough. Her first job was at the airport, and different family members tried to help in any way possible to make her life better and her siblings, since they were being raised in an abusive household. Grandma Jacqueline would go on to put Louisa and one of her brothers in counseling to try and help them cope as they got older. In her teens, Louisa's mother started dating a man by the name of Jamal Jones, whom she went to school with, and according to Grandma Jacqueline, he seemed like a pimp, and she could tell that he was no good for her, and Louisa felt uneasy around him and even called CPS herself, but again, nothing was done about it. According to her aunt Jakia Williams, her sister was hanging with the wrong people, and it was not the crowd for her, but Louisa was always welcome to come to her house. At some point, Jamal ended up taking away Louisa's innocence by force, and she ended up pregnant when she was 16. It is said that Louisa's mother was abusive, and Jamal played off the teen's weakness to take what he wanted because she was a kid and vulnerable. She ended up having the baby early because of developmental issues, and the baby did not survive. At this time, No one knew that Jamal was the dad because it was told to the grandma and aunt that it was some random teen boy that lived by her, Louisa said, that she was messing with. Sadly, her mother, Makisa, knew that Jamal was raping her daughter and still kept him around and took it out on Louisa and even had people fight her over him. By the time the aunt got wind of what was going on, Louisa was pregnant for a second time. However, she was not aware about all the beatings that Jamal had given her niece. But it would later come out, and again Louisa's mother knew and did nothing about it. To make matters worse, Jamal was accused of shooting up his ex-girlfriend's house and was violent, but Louisa's mother still kept him around. By May 2019, Louisa was 17 weeks pregnant with her second child, and she was only 17 at the time of conception, and he was 28 years old. On May 8, 2019, Jamal would end up hitting her in the face with a weapon over 10 times, causing bad injuries because he wanted her to have an abortion. Police would be alerted, and Jamal would end up telling them that he was in a relationship with Louisa and that he just moved in with her 3 weeks ago. He would go on to say that he had another girlfriend named Andrea, and she would end up vouching for him by lying for him. Jamal was arrested after this incident, but he was released a few days later. After she was badly beaten, she ended up going into a premature labor and lost her second child, who was a boy, and her first child she lost was a boy as well too. The law really let the ball drop because Jamal was a felon and has priors and is not even supposed to have a weapon or violate probation. After she had become pregnant that second time, she was in her own place, and during the summer of 2019, she wanted to move to Texas from Arizona with her grandmother Jacqueline to try and make a new start for her life and get away from Jamal, but her apartment would not let her out her lease. Her grandmother said she co-signed on the apartment and took her name off the lease, but they would not let Luzeia break the lease, so she could not end up going to Texas with her grandmother. Luzeia did take a trip with her grandmother for a few days to go see Texas, and when she got back to Arizona, her grandmother would take her to go file for an order of protection against Jamal. Come July 12, 2019, a verbal argument occurred between Louisa and Jamal, and he took her apartment keys and told her to come meet him at an address. When she got there, she did not get out the car. Jamal and his brother, Antoine Jones, snatched her out the car, and Jamal and Antoine will proceed to go and beat her. She ended up getting away, was able to get back in her car, and then she actually wrecked the car because she had been beaten so bad that she passed out. Police were notified, and Jamal started harassing Louisa because he didn't want her to press charges. In the following days, her apartment would be broken into, and she would go and ask her apartment complex to change her locks. And around the same time, Jamal was sending threatening text messages, threatening her life. Around the end of July, about the 26th, Louisa received a large sum of money from a settlement after a bad car accident. This was the last time the family heard from her, and then strange things started to happen. On July 31st, she had purchased a camera and had it installed at some point according to her Amazon account order history. Then by August 5th, 2019, her bank account was closed, but she just put a lot of money in the bank, so that didn't make sense as well. By August 21st, 2019, between 1 and 3 a.m., Jamal and his other girlfriend, Andrea, phones would ping together in a location at a reservation out in the middle of nowhere. Phone records would show that Jamal, Louisa, and Andrea would talk, and the last call Andrea made to Louisa was August 24th, but it is not known if that call ever connected or if they talked. August 27, 2019, Andrea would buy a new car with a GPS tracking device. Come August 31st, Jamal paid $2,000 in court fees. It's not known where he got the money from, but again, she had a bank account that she had just put a lot of money in before she mysteriously disappeared. Come September 2nd, police called about a car on fire, a 2017 Chrysler 300. And then again on September 8th, that same car was on fire, and that's when they towed it to a different lot. Come September 16th, a shovel and chlorine were purchased at a local Walmart by Jamal, and he was in Louisa's car, according to police that saw the surveillance footage. Then on September 20th, 2019, the management at Louisa's apartment started getting complaints about an odor coming from her unit, and they had not seen her in a while. When management entered, they would find blood everywhere and call the police. Phoenix police would respond and would find bags by the door with pillows inside them covered in blood. Also, there was bleach, pine sol, and Febreze visible sitting out. There was a chair with blood on it, and in the bedroom, the bed was covered in blood, but it had been spray painted over. There was incense in the vent, and men's clothes were found with blood on it. The smell was said to be the smell of decomposition. The police would speak with neighbors who had not seen her, and then the police tried to ping her phone with no luck because it was off, and later to find out from the carrier there was no activity on her phone. It was also realized that Louisa's black 2006 Dodge Charger was missing as well. At this point, the police contacted Louisa's mother, and she told them that they both were dating Jamal and that her daughter ended up pregnant by him and lost their child. And when Louisa became pregnant a second time by Jamal, that's when she stopped messing with him. But later, she would change her story and said that she never dated him. After that, her aunt was made aware of what was going on, and she realized that she had not heard from her and even went by her apartment, but Louisa never responded to calls or texts. She just summed it up as a teen being a teen. According to the grandmother, Jacqueline, after it was determined that something terrible may have happened to Louisa, she said that the apartment manager said that there were a lot of complaints about loud noise from the unit for like a week, then the smell, but a wellness check was never done. So it is unknown what had happened at that time. Moving forward in the investigation, investigators would think back to the car that was on fire twice in the apartment complex and moved after the second time. So the police retrieved that car and towed it to the police department, and it smelled of decomposition, and the dog picked up something in the trunk. That's when they did further tests on the trunk, and it reacted positive for blood. The police will find out that the car belonged to one of Jamal's friends that lived in the same apartment complex as Louisa, but that friend never filed an insurance claim or looked for the car. When it came to Louisa's actual car, it was found on September 21st, 2019 at another apartment complex about 20 minutes away. It was checked for the same things as the other vehicle and smelled of decomposition as well, and it had the same hits on the trunk. Inside the trunk, though, was the shovel and bleach that Jamal was seen on surveillance buying from Walmart. So let's go back to the car that Jamal's other girlfriend Andrea bought on August 27th that had a GPS tracker. It would be later determined that her car would be shown going to the same address twice where Louisa's car was found. There is so much at this point that points to foul play to me. Investigators said they would try to find Jamal, but finding him seemed to be hard, and then they got a warrant for his phone, and the last time it was used was August 21st, 2019 at 9:40 a.m. in the same area of Louisa's apartment, and it was never used again. By October, the investigators started getting DNA back and said that Jamal and his father, Robert Jones, DNA was found on a disposable glove, a floor lamp with blood, and a front pocket of some jeans that had blood on them as well. Detectives then found out that Jamal may be in California from a lead, and then they spoke with Andrea, who said that she was in Michigan with her family and hadn't spoke to Jamal in a long time, but it was found that she was really in California per her GPS tracker on her vehicle and her phone pings. On November 26, Jamal was arrested and charged with second-degree murder, unlawful possession of a firearm, abandoning and concealing a dead body. As of now, Jamal's court dates have been moved and changed, and with COVID being one of the main reasons. Jamal's new trial is set to begin on January 18, 2023. He is facing charges again of the second-degree murder and abandonment or concealment of a dead body. But there's still questions that remain. Why hasn't there been more intense search in the over 3 years now that Louisa has been missing? According to reports, in the areas where the phones ping from Jamal and Andrea between 1 and 3 in the morning, out there on the Indian reservation, the police never searched that area to look for her body. There was a private investigator who has been doing some searching over years. They did find a sleeping bag with blood, but however, when they tried to contact the police to give them the evidence about it, the police, for whatever reason, has not taken it. It seems like if they would find her body, it would definitely strengthen the case for the prosecution. The Maricopa County Attorney's Office won't provide much on the case since it's still open.
It's been more than 3 years now since a woman's murder, and her family still doesn't have justice. In 2019, investigators discovered a bloody crime scene at her apartment, but her body has never been found.
Yeah, this is known as a no-body homicide.
Before the 911 call, management at Luzeia's apartment complex are ready to evict her for not paying rent, which is strange because she usually paid early or on time. There's blood everywhere, the walls, the floor, pillows. There's trash bags and cleaning products inside. There's burned incense sticks in the vents. Jeff McGrath is a private investigator working on the case.
Phoenix police have arrested her boyfriend, accusing him of murder.
Jamal Jones is a documented gang member. He served 6 years in prison and has an extensive criminal history, including aggravated assault, drug violations, and burglary. Court documents reveal Jones met Luzeia as a child when he dated her mother before having a relationship with Luzeia as a minor. Police have since learned Luzeia became pregnant twice by Jones and miscarried both times.
Protection order is just a piece of paper, and if somebody wants to violate that order, they're going to. That's not going to stop them.
Luzeia feared for her safety. We learned she had her apartment door locks changed after a burglary, and investigators obtained threatening text messages from Jones to Luzeia. In September of 2019, investigators recovered 2 vehicles. One of them had been lit on fire at Luzeia's apartment complex, and the trunk smelled like decomposition. The second car recovered is a Dodge Charger belonging to Luzeia, abandoned and towed away from another apartment complex, and investigators say that trunk also smelled like decomposition. Swabs from inside would eventually match her DNA.
Your destination will be on the right.
Documents say on August 21st, 2019, the cell phones of Jones and his girlfriend pinged them on the Gila River Indian Reservation between 1 and 3 in the morning. McGrath says this is the last place Luzeia's cell phone pinged before it disconnected from a cell network near her apartment at around 9:30 in the morning that August day.
But it is sad and unfortunate because she went through so much in her life, such hard times, even according to her family, just the things that her mom would put her through and allow happen in front of her. She was just a child. She shouldn't have never been raped, and she shouldn't have never been pregnant by this predator who impregnated her not once but twice, and then caused her to lose her child the second time. It is so very sad. This story really pulls at my heartstrings. But why haven't they did more research? Why haven't they called for more help on this? It is unknown. But for Louisa's family, finding her means closure. And they will be in the court for the trial. And our aunt said she just wants to be able to let him know that the family is there, that she has family who loves her, she has friends, and family that is going to be there to make sure and that they get some sort of justice on her part. This is so very sad. My thoughts and prayers go out to this family. My heart breaks for what the mother put her through and wouldn't allow her to live with her aunt or grandmother to have a better life, and would use her and do so many other things. It's deeper than just this, but it's just so much information. It's so very sad. And pray that the family are able to find her remains so they can get some other closure as well. This is just beyond heartbreaking what she went through in her short 18 years of life. But please keep this family in your thoughts and prayers. Please comment your thoughts in the comment section below. And as always, remember, stay woke. Things change quickly.